Hello, this is Inside the Press Box with Sunil Sunder Raj for the Everyday Fan Sports. I'm happy to be speaking with Brandon Hall, the new assistant coach of Fairleigh Dickinson University men's basketball. Coach Hall, thank you so much again for taking some time out to speak with me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Hey, congratulations right off the bat, Coach Hall. I have to ask you what this means to you personally and to your family as well.
First off, thank you, and second off, this has been almost surreal for me. I'm a kid that grew up in Jersey, born and raised in New Jersey. My family lives in New Jersey. Everything about me is Jersey through and through. So to be here now and looking where I was and some of the things I started this out being a JV basketball coach in Middlesex County, and to look back and see now where I've gotten it, where it's taken me, and where I've been able to get my career to is it's almost surreal. I mean, I'm Division I assistant coach right now, and hasn't even set in yet. I've been here for about a month and a half. I've gotten to work with my guys, which really kind of got the ball rolling. But for me and my family, man, this has been everything I've ever wanted. It's a dream come true, and I was at Seton Hall before, and I loved it there, and that was definitely a home for me. And I love those guys over there, but I'm extremely, extremely, extremely appreciative of the opportunity Coach Greg Correnda gave me here, and this beautiful campus here. I get to work and work at and call home now. I'm excited.
That's terrific. Just wanted to ask you, Coach Hall, what made FDU the perfect fit? When you said again after so what 3 years there at Seton Hall? Can you just talk about? Again, joining a very successful program in FDU, said the head coach Greg Correnda, who you alluded to, this team, I said this, has been to, again, the Northeast Conference has competed, said in the tournament, conference tournament every year, said this was an NCAA tournament a couple of years ago, won their first game against, said, Prairie View A&M. Can you just talk about that as well, Coach Hall?
Yeah, so like you said, this is an extremely, extremely successful program. Coach Greg Correnda has done a hell of a job with every program he's been in, but the turnaround that he made when he got here to take this place to not only one, but two NCAA tournaments and then win their first game. I mean, his resume speaks for itself. He does an unbelievable job here. The culture that he has, you see it. I've been here now. We've had our kids on campus for 3 weeks, and you see it right away. Just the energy he brings. He steps on the floor, and he's a magnet, man, with the energy. He just gets it going, and there's never a day where we have low energy here, and it's something that's lovely. It's awesome to wake up to go to work every day. I'm excited to come into work every day because I know what kind of energy is going to be around the program. And just learning from a guy like him. I mean, he's been successful. He's going to continue to be successful. And the opportunity he gave me is not every day that you see people who were in the position that I was just in as a graduate assistant and get bumped to a Division I assistant. And I would love to sit here and say that while I was deserving and I think I'm ready for this jump, I would love to sit here and say I'm just the best coach ever, and that's why I got it. But it's not. I got this job because guys like Greg Correnda have been in this business for a long time, and they see something that maybe somebody else doesn't see, and that's why he's been successful, because he's taking chances on people like myself and other people. There's been so many people who have been in my position here prior to me getting here, who have been here and been successful and gone on to other places to be successful. So I've definitely got some big shoes to fill. But I'm appreciative, like I keep saying, of Coach Greg Correnda and the opportunity that he gave me and the chance he took. He took a big chance on hiring a graduate assistant, and I'm looking forward to making sure that it pays off for him as well.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, I know there's, I think one other assistant coach and Pete Lapis, and then I wanted you talk about that athletic department administration, AD Bradford, Hurl, but can you talk about that as well? Because I think it's so critical when you have, especially the administration, athletic department on the same page, having that chemistry. Can you talk about that as well, Coach Hall?
Yeah, so like you said, we're a little bit understaffed here just because there's two assistants and you usually have three. But given the pandemic and everything that's changed in the world, I mean, there's no real excuses to make. It's me and it's Coach Lapis. And I've been blessed to get a Division I assistant job, but not only just get the job, but be able to work alongside somebody like Pete Lapis. Pete's somebody who has worked his way up from a volunteer to he's now a top assistant at NEC at the age of 31. I mean, that's another thing that's almost unheard of, but he's just one of the hardest workers I've ever been around. And you couldn't have asked to work alongside somebody for your first Division I head coaching job and somebody that's going to really take you under their wing and show you the ropes. I mean, I couldn't have got a better situation or been next alongside a better assistant coach to help me out. P. Lapis, he's been a blessing in my 2 months here, just showing me everything, showing me how the things that coach expects and things we got to do. And it's been great. And to touch on your other point, our administration here has been phenomenal. Mr. Hoba, it was one of the most welcoming people right away. He sent me an email before I was even on campus. We were trying to work out our contract, things like that. And before I was even on campus, it was just a lot of energy about the hire. He had heard some good things. I had heard some good things. And then we finally met, and it was just every day I have a conversation with him and I talk to him. He's always at practice. He does a phenomenal job here. And given the landscape of COVID and everything like that administrations all over the country are dealing with college athletics, I mean, to still see him in such high, he's always in such high, he's got great energy every day. He's around the program, he's making sure, seeing what we need, seeing what he can do to help us. So the administration here has been phenomenal. I've been here for 2 months. I see these guys every day. They're working hard and they're working hard in a not so easy atmosphere given what's gone on in the last year in the world.
No, that's true. What does you mentioned terrific facilities there with the Rothman Center. I think it's one of the best environments for a college basketball game. A true home court advantage. I think it said for FDU. Can you talk about that as well? I mean, because that plays an essential role as well. Said for for a school and for a team as well, Coach Hall.
Yeah, no doubt about it. The Rothman is a beautiful place. I've come to the Rothman before I started working here, but just to see it every day now and up close and personal and behind the scenes and for our level and everything like that, I think, like you said, you hit the nail on the head. Like, we have one of the better facilities, and I'm excited to see it filled up with some fans. Like, the few times that I've been here, there really wasn't any fans. So I am excited about that. I've been watching some film and things like that, and you see some of the games, the bigger games when it's really packed in here and everything like that. It's besides that too, and I've been on campus and things like that. It's just a beautiful campus overall. You talk about it being in the NEC and everything like that. You can't ask for better facilities in an area like this. It's certainly a beautiful campus.
Great. Wanted to get right into as far as the upcoming season, 2021-22 season. I know it's going to be here before you know it, the regular season. Just looking at this year's roster, it looks like, it said a young team. I think there's only one senior. The team did lose, said Jaleel Jenkins and Elijah Williams, from last year. I mean, combined, those guys, I think, pouring in 30 points, said, per game. So I guess if you want to just, comment just on what you've seen so far and what, the expectations are, said for this upcoming season, Coach Hall.
Yep. So, like you said, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. We lost two big time guys, two big pillars in this program in Jaleel and Elijah. And those guys have moved on to continue their academic career in other places, and we wish them guys the best of luck. But I'm excited about what we have here. I think we have 7 new faces here, and I won't get into specifics about the player, but we've been here for 3 weeks now, and we've been working out. And like I said, we really jumped right into it with our workouts and everything like that, and the culture that's been built here. You see it at other places. 7 new faces. It's not easy to work that in. Dealing with a lot of personalities, dealing with a lot of new guys that are picking things up, and I mean, we've just hit the ground here running, and it's kudos to Coach Greg Herenda and what he's done here and the culture he's built. The returners have really done a phenomenal job of just stepping on the floor and making sure they're taking these young guys under the wing, telling them what the expectations are here, things we do, things we don't do, and we haven't had any issues. We've been here, we've been working hard, and I think we're going to surprise some people. I mean, when you look at a team that loses as much as we've lost with Jaleel and Elijah, to think that we can still compete for a championship this year would people probably think we're crazy, but that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to step out here, we're going to compete for a championship, and I like our chances this year of just having a successful season. And that all goes back to Coach. Coach has built the things that he's done here and what he's done in the last 8 years to build this place back up. Is the reason why you can step in with 7 new faces and still talk about FDU competing for a championship this year. And I think that's the main thing. This is a championship program and had a tough year last year, but I'm pretty confident that it'll get back up and running very shortly.
Yeah, no, true. I want to ask you a couple of guys, that are returning, Brendan Rush, Ray Ford and, Joe Munden, Junior, 3 guys, said, I mean, Brandon, averaging double figures last year, 14 points a game. So I'm sure those are the guys, it said they're going to be counted upon, said to, lead this team, and try to pick up that slack, said this season, Coach Hall.
Yeah, so Brandon Rush is somebody who I've been building a relationship with from the day that I knew that I was coming here. And I officially began. He's somebody who reached out right away. He's a phenomenal kid, respectful kid. He just wants to be in the gym and work. And the best part about Brandon is people say like, yeah, I go to this school, I love it. Like Brandon loves FDU. He loves being on this campus. He loves being in this gym. He loves who he plays for. He loves Coach Aranda. He just loves everything about it here. It's refreshing to see stuff like that in this era of transfer portals and everything like that, when everybody's just looking for the next best situation. Brandon's somebody who's content with his situation. He knows he has a very good situation. He knows he's playing for a very good coach. And he just comes in here every day and he works. He's in here putting shots up as much as he can. And his skill set is, he is one of the best players in the conference, I believe. And I haven't seen everybody in the conference yet, but I'm just confident in what I've seen from him alone. And that skill set that he has, he's got a lot of talent, and he's going to have a big year this year. You mentioned Ray Ford. He's an incoming freshman from St. Peter's Prep. Another kid. He's a hell of a player. A lot of talent. Huge ceiling. He's still learning how we do things here a little bit, and he's going to be fine. He's going to go through some freshman growing pains. I think that every freshman in the country will go through. But Ray's somebody who comes from a phenomenal family, and he comes from a phenomenal basketball program in St. Peter's Prep, and the job Alex Maribel does over there. Alex is one of the best high school coaches, bar none, in the state, and he runs a phenomenal program. And those are the types of guys. Those are the lessons I'm learning early on. Those are the types of programs that Coach likes to recruit from in programs like that. Guys that just do such a good job. And kudos to Alex for what he's done over there at St. Peter's Prep. And Joe Munden, you mentioned as well, another guy who's very similar to Brandon, understands the culture we have here, loves the atmosphere here, loves the campus, loves being here. And on the court, he's just so versatile. You can put him on, you can guard multiple positions. He does so many things for you offensively. And he's one of these guys who sometimes he doesn't fill up the stat sheet, but you need him on the floor, and his presence on the floor alone does a ton for a squad. So we're excited about those guys, all three of those guys. And I think they're all going to have big years this year.
That's great. It's just not being an athlete, it's also being a student athlete, balancing out those roles. I've asked assistant, head coaches about, how, crucial that is, to an athlete's success. I wanted to ask you about that. It's not an easy, for these guys, during the course of a season. I want to ask you about that as well, Coach Hall.
Yeah, it's not easy. It's something that I have a better understanding for because I was in it not too long ago. And people just get to see these kids playing, and they get to see all the gear that they're getting, and they get to see them on social media, but not everybody gets to see them behind the scenes. And you're taking a trip and maybe you're flying back in at midnight, and there's no excuse. You got to be at the 8 a.m. class the next day. And as a student athlete, I'm not going to say you have a target on your back, but as a student athlete, there's higher expectations, and everybody knows who you are. Everybody knows you're the men's basketball player. So you have to hold yourself to a higher standard. And again, it's not easy, but there's resources in place and there's coaches in place and everything like that to help these guys out. So sometimes it's a struggle at times, definitely. I've lived it. I've been there. It's not easy always. And you have to miss out on a lot of things that you're watching your friends and your regular students are getting able to do whatever they want to do. As a student athlete, you probably can't do that. You're not seeing your family for some holidays and things like that, but it's a sacrifice you make because in the end, if you stick with it and you do it the right way, it's something that can pay off for you. And I like to think that it definitely paid off for me, and given where I've ended up, and it was definitely worth it.
Great. You said 3 years as a graduate assistant coach at Seton Hall University, for the men's basketball program there under head coach Kevin Willard.
Yep.
We talked about the structure, I said they definitely had it in place there, when it came to assistant coaches and, coordinator of basketball operations and director of basketball operations. I wanted to ask you about your time there. Of course, the Big East, said one of the best conferences, of course, across the nation, Coach Hall. Just if you can dive into it and just talk about your time there,
my time at Seton Hall, man, it was, and I talked about it earlier, right? And you're a Jersey guy, I'm a Jersey guy. Like when you grow up in Jersey, whether you like them or not, you always there's two schools. It's Rutgers and Seton Hall, and you always know what they're doing in football and basketball and things like that. And I was no different. I always watched those guys on both sides, and I knew I wasn't good enough to play at Seton Hall. But I always wondered like how can I get to Seton Hall, and it ended up working out. I got the coach there, and Coach Grant Billmeyer, top assistant over there. He gave me a call one day, and we talked, and I'm forever thankful to him and what he's done for me, and he's kind of Scott put my career in fast forward. My time over there was everything. Coaching in the Big East, coaching alongside. I'm showing up to gyms to coach in games against Jay Wright, and I'm looking down. Patrick Ewing's on the other side, and just the program that Kevin Willard has built there and the way he's gone about it. I mean, he doesn't get the credit he deserves. He truly doesn't. He's one of the best coaches in the country. I'm not there anymore, so those aren't things I have to say.
Yeah.
But just being on the back end and being behind the scenes and seeing the preparation and the hard work and showing up at 6 a.m. every day to do his film and his work and the culture he's built. I mean, Coach Willard does not get the credit he deserves over there. And my time there was 3 of the best years of my life. When you're a GA, usually when you're a grad assistant anywhere in the country, usually it's usually some dog years for you because you're the last guy on staff. You're not making any money. There's a lot you're sacrificing to try to get your foot in the door. And for me, that was what I came in thinking. And when I got there, I realized very quickly it wasn't going to be that. It was such a good situation outside of having to sacrifice a little bit financially. I mean, I was taken care of in every way you can think of. And the best part about it was I wasn't just sitting at a desk pushing papers. Within the rules and what I was allowed to do, Coach Willard allowed me to He allowed me to do whatever I needed to do. He allowed me to coach. He allowed me to do what I needed to do behind the scenes and everything like that. And he trusted me. You're talking about a Big East program. I was a grad assistant. He could easily told me just sit back and stay out of the way. And he's seeing out her. And it was the complete opposite. He treated me no differently than he treated his associate head coach, Grant Billmeyer. And for me, that was commendable about him. And it just goes to show what type of person he is. Really took care of me, and without those guys and without that opportunity, obviously I'm not sitting here talking to you today as an assistant coach. He's had a ton of people go on. Coach Tony Skinn left a little bit after I left to go to Ohio State. Like that's what Seton Hall is turning into now. Seton Hall is turning into a destination spot where when you leave there, like gosh, you're making a big jump, and not many people want to leave Seton Hall because again, it's a destination spot, and that's kudos to Coach Willard and what he's been able to do the last few years.
Great. Just have a couple more, Kintek, enough for time. Coach Hall, can't forget that you were a head coach as well on the high school basketball level at your alma mater, Colonial High School, during the 2017-18. I mean, can you talk about that? And you, again, said we're able, said to bring that, bring your alma mater, that, the boys basketball program. I mean, as far as, reaching a tournament, it said you, again, just incredible success you had there. If you just want to, talk about that as well, Coach Hall.
Yeah, Colonial High School. I mean, it's Colonial High School is a place that will forever, no matter where I go, no matter where I coach, where this journey takes me, Colonial High School's home. I played there. I lived there. I grew up 30 seconds away from the high school. I grew up going to see their games. My boss at the time when I was at Colonial High School was my high school coach, Ken Pace. I'm still in touch with my second high school coach, Chris Chair. Just it's a family atmosphere, and a lot of people don't understand. Like if you've never been there, if you haven't lived that, you don't understand it. But when you're there, it's one of the best places on the world. We always say, me and my friends always joke around. It's one of the best places in the world to be. Everybody supports you. There's people that were going to my games when I was a player who I turned around. I would look up in the stands and they'd be at my games when I was a coach, and that's just the type of place it is. It's a family atmosphere. People want to see you do good there. There's still people coming. There were people coming to see Hall games. I'm sure there'll people come from Colonial that'll be coming to FDU games. I love that place. The things it's done for me as a student athlete, and not only a student athlete but as a coach as well. I'll never be able to repay it. It's home, and it's we had a lot of success there my second year. But one of the best years in my coaching career to really help me and I think put me in the position I'm in right now was my first year when we didn't do so well. We went 7-16, and I struggled out of the gate, and I was kind of questioning if I was the right guy for that job. But it really made me take a look in the mirror and step back and realize that while I was successful and I got a head job at the age of 26, and I thought that I knew a lot, that year gave me that kind of what I needed, that a little kick in the butt to sit back and really realize like you're not where you need to be, and you need to. I needed to step back and kind of reevaluate some things and how I was doing some things, and I think that helped me out and it helped the program out this following year. Obviously, we flipped the record and we went 17-6 and we went to county finals and lost at the RAC. But that, like I said, that year, and people always talk about like the tough years in their career, that's a year that I'll tell anybody that listens that was probably the best year and the best thing that could have happened to me was going through those trials and tribulations of having to being a head coach your first year and you're struggling and trying to figure it out. Because you really go back and reevaluate and fix it. So, yeah, those 2 years over there, those 2 years did a lot for me in my career.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you that second. I was just reading up in the notes. I think you reached the Greater Middlesex Conference Tournament Final. Then you upset Rahway and then SIA. North 2 Group 3. Semifinal. I mean, what did that do? I mean, just I said as a head coach and just have. I mean, that was been so sweet. Again, knowing what happened the year before, and then coming back that following year, and again being able to see how fast this program could grow. Can you just talk about that, Coach Hall?
Yeah, it was it was a tough pill for me to swallow after year one, just because you look at the tradition of Colonial High School. No matter who's been there, no matter who's played there, stars or whoever it is, they've been successful. So to be back at a place that was my dream job in year one and struggle was tough. But like I said, it did a lot for me, and it made me reevaluate. It made me work harder. And then we came out the second year with the same exact team, and we really just got hot. And the kids kind of bought in, which isn't easy because I was a second-year head coach who was coming off a really unsuccessful year in year one, and those kids still trusted me. They could have wrote me off, and they still trusted me. We came out and we started to see some rewards, and the kids were working their butts off for me. And like you said, we made a run in the county tournament. We were the first 7th seed to ever make the finals. And we come out, even in that finals game, we're down 20 almost at the half. People are leaving, and then we come back. And not only do we come back, but we take the lead. It was a tough loss. One I still think about. I watched the tape actually recently again. I make sure to keep watching that tape. But yeah, it was a sweet deal that year, man, to get to the county finals as a head coach. I played in one, I won one. But when you're the coach and it's your program, it's just a different feeling. And it's something that's indescribable. That year was unbelievable to me. It was heartbreaking in the end, just the way we lost. We lost at the buzzer. To a great St. Joe's team that year, and then we beat Rahway. It was funny that Rahway team, I think it was 10 years, or it was a few years to the date when we had beat Rahway when I was a player. So those are the types of things for me, like the memories that I was able to build. Is I wasn't just at any high school just upsetting teams. Like I was at the high school that I played at, doing the same things that I did as a player, as a coach. So it was really cool just to look back. Chris Scherer was our coach, and those guys were ranked top 25 in the state. And we went in there, and nobody outside of our program thought we could win. We pull out a win. That was fast forward. It's my second year as a head coach, and it's the same thing. No, we had no business going into Rahway and beating those guys. It was a hell of a job. Coach Steph Lubresi did a hell of a job with that team and that program. And we go in there and we play our game and we come out with a win. So those things were sweet, but they were even more sweeter because Colonial was such a near and dear place to my heart. So to do it at home it really meant a lot.
That's awesome. Don't want to forget you attended and graduated from St. Peter's University.
Yeah.
That was you talk about a memorable, 4 years.
Yeah.
That has got. I mean, when you look back, and what you're gonna cherish forever. I mean, I said 2011. Said MAC tournament champions. Said reaching the NCAA tournament. I mean, just when you look back and I'm sure it said, it definitely brings a lot of, joy and smile, to your face, Coach Hall.
Yeah, it was St. Peter's was an unbelievable experience. I was somebody I was a good high school player, but not a great high school player. I wasn't heavily recruited. I had some Division IIs, local Division IIs. I almost committed to a Division II. My mom asked me to wait and see what else was out there. At the last minute, we upset Rahway High School, like I was just talking about, and Coach John Dunn calls me and he's like, "I want to give you a scholarship." And I was like, "Okay." So it was a dream come true. One of my dreams and one of my goals in high school was to get a Division I scholarship, and it was something that I felt strongly about. And when he offered it, I took it on the spot, um, and it was something that I never regret. I mean, it was the end of high school basketball season. Everybody knew where they were going already. I didn't until that time, and I went in there and I went into a team that had won 5 games the year before, and I didn't know what it was like to lose. I was at Colonial. I had probably the teams I was on in Colonial probably had in 4 years 11 losses. So to go in to a program that was struggling a little bit was tough, but I have no regrets with it. Obviously, the first 2 years were tough, and we didn't win as much as we wanted to, but we were building up towards that third year where we knew we were going to be able to compete, and we got hot at the right time, and going to the NCAA tournament at St. Peter's, and it's not an easy thing to do. Look at the success that Coach Seton Holloway's having now, and he's definitely going to get it done over there. But it's not an easy thing to do, and I think he'll be the first one to say it as well. But Coach Dunn did a phenomenal job with that program, and I'm forever indebted to Coach Dunn and the scholarship that he gave me, because, again, that was my goal to get there. And once I got there, I was like, all right, I'm going to get my degree, I'm going to play. But the experiences that I had and the memories that I have just from those years, the friendship that I built, and the family, you guys, my former teammates who are now family to me, you really can't go back, and you can't underestimate like what those things have done for you and what that place did for me. I was a kid that was from the suburbs of Colonial, so it was a little bit of a culture shock when I got to Jersey City. You need those things in life, and it's done a lot for me, and it's helped me out again with my career now as well.
I mean, again, to win a conference tournament, but then, to, say go to the NCAA tournament. I mean, that's, again, it's just so special. Like, it's a different vibe, electricity, you have that adrenaline. What was that? I mean, you're there, said representing, said St. Peter's University, and just the fact, from New Jersey. What was, I had to ask you about that, Coach Hall.
It was unbelievable, the experience leading up, the practices leading up, the media practices. I mean, it was just something that as a kid, like, you see the NCAA tournament, but you don't really see the behind the scenes things. And it's as big time as it seems, man. I've now got to do it a few times, and I was lucky enough to be part of Seton Hall and all the NCAA tournaments that they've been to. So I've seen it now a few times, but just my first time going, and it was, I mean, it was everything that you think it is. It's a big time, and we knew we were going in. We thought we got a good draw. We ended up losing by about 18, but at the time we thought we got a good draw with Purdue, just given the way we matched up with them. And hindsight's 2020, because they had 2 lottery picks too, and Etuan Moore and Juwan Johnson. So it was a fun experience, man. Outside of the game, we ended up getting blown out, but just to be out there and the game, you're seeing Notre Dame's and all these teams, Florida State playing after us. I mean, it was just the experience in total, but it wasn't just the game and just playing in the game. It was the experience leading up. You got your view party, and when you get your selection Sunday, I mean, you can't. Those things are invaluable, and you'll remember those things. I'll remember those things the rest of my life.
Definitely. What's so fascinating, I find, Coach, is that you graduated from a bachelor arts degree in history from St. Peter's, and here you are as a basketball,
it's crazy, right?
As a college basketball coach. I know. Yeah. I just have said a couple more. Just as far as I guess the game of basketball for you personally, like, what made it so special, not only to play, said when you were in high school and college, but now as a coach now, like, what do I know it's sort of a long-winded question, but just, if there's something, that stands out, to you, Coach, as far as the game.
Yeah, it's funny. I get that question. I've had that question before, and it's the first thing that comes to mind is the reason why I got into coaching. My father was my first coach, AAU coach. It's a phenomenal coach. Always knew what he was doing, and that kind of started it for me, because to have somebody so close to you, put that type of time in, not only for yourself but for other people's kids and things like that. I started to take a liking to it there, and then when I got to high school, it was I had a change in my coaching staff when I was a player. So from my sophomore year, after we won the county finals, Coach Ken Pace, who's now the principal at Colonial High School, retired. Chris Shearer took over. And at the time, it was something like I was excited to play for Coach Pace, so it was tough at first because he was leaving. And then once I kind of got over that and realized who I was going to be playing for, and Coach Chris Shearer, that's kind of when my fire to want to coach started. Just seeing how he not only conducted himself, but how he treated us as players. And I was telling anybody who would listen, like I got into coaching because Chris Chiera, and because that was one of my biggest role models in my life, and he still is. He's a principal now in Woodbridge Township, and he's somebody who I'm still close to. I talk to him about 3 times a week, and just what he's done and what he's done for me, my family, and a lot of other kids that I've grown up with, and the way he's conducted himself, which always showed us that he was always practicing what he preached, doing things right. And at the time he was a young coach who was starting out a family, and just watching from the outside looking in and just seeing how he conducted himself, and he never took away from his family, he never took away from our basketball family. And I really admired that about him, and the experiences that he left me with really gave me a fire to want to go coach, and that's when I started to realize like my goal at that time was I want to go and get a degree, play as long as I can play, but my goal at the time was to go get the Colonial High School basketball head job. And I didn't think it was going to happen as quickly as it did. But that was definitely the goal, and I give all that to him. He was just he's a terrific role model. And he's somebody I admire still to this day.
It's great. You talked about your dad, said it definitely being a role model, and, said, I was just wondering, can you talk about support, from the rest of your family, during your basketball journey, here at
Yeah, I mean,
Colonial?
this has been, my family has been phenomenal. My parents, my brother, my entire family. You try to get into college coaching, and anybody who's in it can tell you the first 5 years you're in it, it's tough. It's tough financially. You're sacrificing everything. Friendships back home, relations, everything you can think of it's a sacrifice. And if you don't have a good support system, it can be hard to stay in it. Last 3 years, again, I was taken care of as well as you can be taken care of at Seton Hall. But again, it was still, there was a lot of sacrificing. I was missing things. I have a nephew. I was missing all his stuff. I wasn't seeing my family a ton, my friends back home. I mean, you sacrifice a ton for a greater reward later, but if you don't have a good support system, it's hard to stay in it. And my family has been, I sat down with my mother to tell her that I wanted to leave Colonial High School, and I didn't want to get into teaching anymore. I wanted to pursue college basketball, and I didn't know how I was going to be taken. I wasn't somebody who was just fresh out of college, and I wasn't 22 years old at the time. I was 28. So it was like, I didn't know how she was going to take that. And again, it was my decision, but I'm very close to both of my parents, and their support means the world to me. So I remember sitting down with her and telling my father, and both of them, it was like, they made it easy on me. I was like hesitant and thinking they were going to say, maybe you shouldn't start over. And they both told me, do what you got to do. We'll be here to help you. We'll be here to support you. You're going to need a little bit of help. We'll figure it out. And for me, I can't ever thank my family enough for what they've done for me in my entire life, but the last 5 years, especially, because the last 3 years and you said with what you've had to sacrifice to get into this business, if you don't have some help behind you, it's damn near impossible. So yeah, my family's been everything to me, especially the last few years.
Yeah, that's terrific. So I'm just wondering, Coach Hall, when you were growing up, was it always basketball? Were there any other sports that you played? I was just curious.
I grew up, when I was growing up, man, kudos to my mother. She had me play everything. I've played basketball and baseball since I was 5 years old, but I've played anything you can think of. I played 1 year of football in high school. Growing up, I played street hockey. Like, my mother wanted to keep me involved in sports, and she knew how much she saw the burning passion I had for sports. So she just, anything I wanted to do, she signed me up for. And it's why I am where I am today. And it's why I was able to be successful in basketball, because you look at the best athletes in all their sports, and they'll all tell you that they didn't specialize in one sport. And I think we're not seeing enough of that these days anymore. And you're seeing a lot of kids just trying to specialize and trying to train 12 months a year for one thing. And it's always been like the better athletes have always had their hand in multiple buckets to playing this, to playing that. So I've played all those things, and I've coached sports too at the high school level. I've coached volleyball, I've coached basketball, football, baseball, everything you can think of. I've had a hand in it at some point. It's been fun. It's been a lot of fun.
The final two questions I had, and it just popped into my head, is that you see now, I was going to ask you, like, what coaches, maybe, college level, but even the NBA that you follow, and you see so many now former players, especially, becoming, assistant coaches at the NBA level. paying their dues, as you said, and biding their time, and then eventually, getting a head coaching position. So I was just wondering if there's any coaches in particular that you follow, and you sort of try to, take away any tidbits or nuggets and just try to apply it to your, coaching philosophy.
Yeah, that's a great question. It's I like to stay in touch with a lot of my former coaches, Coach John Dunn over at Marist, and he does a phenomenal job with the X's and O's and things like that. And there's nobody particularly that I maybe hop on the computer and check that specific person, but just the college game in general, just assistants, local assistants. And there's been a lot of successful, like you said, people have transitioned from being a player into a coach. And in this game, it's all about like everybody's just stealing the same things, like everybody's doing the same things, and everybody's copying each other. So just trying to, while there's not anybody specifically that I sit down and maybe just watch what they do, I just try to learn as much as I can and just be a sponge. And I've got a phenomenal resource about 2 doors down, and a head coach who, anytime I go in his office and want to ask him something or something like that, he loves that type of stuff. Like he's got 2 31-year-old assistants. He's been doing this longer than we've been born. So he's got a ton of knowledge, and I'm learning a ton from him day by day. And to see somebody who's been doing this for so long to come in with the energy and effort that he has every single day, I mean, you can't. It makes it hard on you as a 31-year-old first-year assistant to not come in here and work your butt off, because you got a coach who's been doing this for 38 years, and he never comes in here tired. He never comes in here with excuses. So yeah, there's nobody specifically, but when, like myself, I just love sitting down and watching him do the X's and O's and practice and things like that. He pulls a clipboard out. We're doing special situations. I used to love watching that stuff with Coach Kevin Willard as well. He doesn't get the credit he deserves X's and O's wise. He's a magician with the board in his hand. And I've always admired the way that he goes about it, how poised he is in big situations. And you look at the last 3 years over at Seton Hall, how many buzzer beaters and things like that we had. I keep saying it, man. I say it to him blue in the face, Coach Kevin Willard. He just doesn't get the credit he deserves for what he does. He's a hell of a coach. And I've been able to work alongside, and work near some really good coaches. So I've been blessed with that.
Yeah. I mean, I think we talked about it during the interview before we came on the air. It's just see the growth of, basketball in New Jersey over the years. I mean, you talk about the other states are mentioned, I said, Florida, California, Texas. I mean, there are a bunch of states, but I think New Jersey, you can just see is just, is off the charts now. I think, just the level of talent here.
No doubt about it. There's a ton of talent now. Actually getting out and recruiting and being at some of these events, man, there's a ton of talent here. And it's great to see. There's always been a decent amount of talent here, but it's growing as we speak now too. And people are really starting to take notice, like you said. So it's a beautiful thing to see, and being able to. And I'm sure I don't know where my career will take me. I'm happy where I am, and I'm very much here and everything like that. But just being able to be in Jersey my whole life has been fun, man. And now to coach college basketball here and see it from a different angle, it's a lot of fun. It's awesome to see.
Hey, final question, Coach Hall, and I think you're in a perfect position to offer this advice. What your message is to younger players, to younger coaches that want to ascend, that want to move up that ladder, and become, an assistant coach, a head coach one day. What would you say in this, day and age, said as far as, again, just moving up?
Yeah. And my advice to anybody getting into business and anything like that is, man, is just don't take anything for granted. I'd love to sit here and say I got my first assistant coaching job because, again, I'm this great coach, and that's not the case. I think I'm an okay coach, or I wouldn't be here. But what I've been able to do is go about things the right way, and I've built relationships with people and just try to do things the right way and treat people the right way, and it's worked out for me. And this business is, a lot of people don't realize, is like everybody in this business works hard. Everybody in this business knows their basketball. Everybody in this business knows their X's and O's and defense and offense. It's about a lot of luck. I mean, I'm very lucky to be where I am right now, and I don't take that for granted. Anybody could have been in this spot, and to be honest with you, I mean, this is my 3rd year trying to get a job at FDU. and it finally ended up working out. But it just shows you like how big of a relationship business this is. Like I've interviewed here before, and I didn't get the jobs before. There were other people that were way more qualified than me that got the jobs. And Coach Lorenzo would always tell me, stay in touch. You're not doing anything wrong. It's just not your time yet. And I admire that about him. And he 3 years to interview somebody for 3 years and then hire him the third year. Again, it shows you what kind of people I'm working with. And my advice would just be for anybody, just keep your head down, and there's some down days, especially when you're trying to crack in any business. It's not easy. There's some days when you're like, what am I doing here? Why am I doing this? Watching my friends all go and do their thing, buy houses, and I'm sitting here trying to crack into college basketball, and then eventually you catch a break. So for me, it's don't ever get too low, don't ever get too high, and just stay even keeled and stay the course, because good things are always coming when you do things the right way.
Well said. All right, Coach Hall, the floor is yours. If there's anything I left out, you're more than welcome to add. I definitely wanted to give you the last word here.
No, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate what you've done. I've been checking out your work for a while now. I'm a big fan of yours and what you do. And I just wanted to tell you I appreciate you for the coverage, and not only on myself, but just in general, man. New Jersey basketball is a big time thing. And having a guy like you out here who's really pushing the message and everything like that, it's a great thing to see. So I just wanted to tell you I appreciate you, and appreciate you taking the time out, and everything else you do as well.
Thank you so much, Coach Hall. Again, wishing you continued success, especially with this upcoming season, your first season as assistant coach of FDU men's basketball.
Thank you very much.